Quick question. How many of you have had a key crew member no show on event day or show up not so key? Think about that for a while I tell you this story. It's 6 a.m. at the convention center, and your rigging coordinator just called in sick. And two 5-person rigging crews are standing around burning about $4,000 per hour waiting for direction. And on top of that, your producer is running on their 4th cup of coffee this morning because they're on 40 hours with no sleep. And they're about to make a really terrible decision that's going to cost you 6 figures and maybe the account, maybe more. Today, we're talking about the exact system that will prevent this. Here's what you're getting in the next few minutes. The 6-step crew management system I've developed over 15 years of events. The workforce scheduling insights from research data and a real-life checklist that you can implement immediately, right now. So, let's go. The brutal truth about event crews. Here's something nobody tells you. Crew management is managing human inventory. Think about it. Every person on your crew is a little bit like a battery. They have energy levels, They also have breaking points. And they too have skills that overlap or maybe just don't. When you drain that battery without a system, they burn out, make mistakes, or worse, they just ghost you on event day. McKinsey actually studied this. They called workforce scheduling one of the most challenging optimization problems in business. But they were talking about factories where you can stop the line. And we're talking about live events. You can't stop the presses here. No do-overs, and every mistake happens in front of your entire audience. Still with me here? Good. Because here's where it gets really expensive. The 4 horsemen of crew disasters. Let me show you exactly where events die. Disaster number 1 is the skill gap. Here's the reality. We lost 30% of our event workforce during the pandemic, and that's not my number. That's industry data. The veterans are gone, retired early, or they just completely switched careers. And the newbies that are coming in, they're green, like really green, like fake AstroTurf green. And we have a large portion of the workforce who've been flying mentorless. Those with the 1 to 6 year experience range are making the same mistakes veterans could have warned them about. And they're learning the hard way because there's nobody there to teach them. Number 2, the no-show nightmare. Event morning, 3 crew members are MIA. One's legitimately sick. One found a better gig last night. And the third, you actually sent home because they were so hungover that they couldn't do their job. And if you staffed overly lean, you're now calling in favors through the job steward or the business agent or whatever random person you can find. Number 3, the communication chaos. Let me paint you a picture and one that I personally lived in a very painful way. An extra 2,000 people show up for a celebrity general session. Security thinks that venue staff are crowd control. Venue thinks your team does. And the volunteers think that security handles it. Then, of course, perfect timing, the fire marshal walks in telling you to remove the stanchion queue lines because they're blocking the egress. The result that follows is that it falls on whoever is closest, which is you, or in that case, it was me. And good luck not getting mobbed by the crowd when somebody decides to let them in early and break the queue right in the middle. Here's our 4th, the fatigue factor. It's the silent killer that nobody's really talking about. Studies show that sleep deprivation impairs decision-making as much as being drunk. Seriously, National Library of Medicine data shows that after 17 to 19 hours awake, performance is equal to or worse than 0.05% blood alcohol content. And after 24 hours, impairment approximates 0.1% blood alcohol content, which is beyond the legal intoxication limit. Yet, by day 2 of a conference, how many crew members are running on 3 hours of sleep? Tired people skip steps. They get snippy. And that friction spreads like a virus down the chain of command. And tired people make expensive mistakes. $411 billion per year in the US, according to the National Safety Council. Now, Before you think, nah, this won't happen to me, let me just show you the actual cost, okay? Because here's the real price tag. When crew management fails, here are a few things that will happen. Overtime charges will blow your budget. Labor goes from $138 per hour to $276 per hour. Union grievances and penalties for inadequate rest, meaning double time rates for the next full day until a full reset occurs. Not to mention that they may not take your call the next time that you come into market. Safety incidents. Tired people hurt people and potentially stop the show entirely. OSHA says 37% more likely, actually, for 12-hour shifts. Your best people will quit from burnout. Gallup says the cost to you is about 200% the cost of their salary. But here's the worst part. When it fails publicly, when you're representing your company in front of peers and competitors, do they not show up with a booth because they're in financial trouble or because their booth got lost? Neither looks good. Did the CEO cursing someone in the green room on a hot mic make the CEO or the production company look bad? Well, both, actually, and at least one will be losing their job. If you're the service provider, you've lost the ability to compete for years without looking like you have a black eye throughout this process. All of this is from a breakdown that real, true, and proper crew management would have prevented. But here's the good news. I'm about to share the exact system that prevents it. Are you ready? Let's build your bulletproof crew system, shall we? The 6-pillar crew mastery system. Pillar number 1 is a military-grade chain of command. I might be a broken record here, but I'm going to say it again. Brene Brown said, clear is kind, and unclear is unkind. And Tony Robbins says, clarity is power. And you know what? I believe that they're both right. Before your event, actually, before you even start planning, map out every role, who reports to who. Create an actual org chart. And you want to show who's the point person for each area, who they report to, and who reports to them, and who backs them up if they disappear. And print this out. Post it at Ops HQ and include it in every crew packet and put a link in all of the digital documents that you have. Because when someone has a problem, they'll then know exactly who to tell. And when someone needs a decision, they know who can make it. Sounds good, right? Pillar number 2, the buffer formula that never fails. 10%, 20%, 50%. That's your buffer. Why? Because life happens. Critical roles need 50% more coverage, one shadow or backup behind every 2 positions. Standard roles need 20% more coverage, and basic roles only need about 10% more coverage. We created a labor buffer calculator to help justify the spend and to see where the tipping point is when determining the actual cost of going into overtime and double time versus staffing appropriately with the buffers we're talking about right now. Here's the math for that. Staffing a 20% buffer on a 10-person crew at $148.75 per hour straight time adds about $298 per hour. Whereas making up a 30-minute delay on overtime at $292.75 per hour per worker costs roughly $1,400 in labor for the same crew. And this is assuming that there isn't any double time or penalty pay, which is very likely for working beyond your anticipated times. Cross-train your people. It's dumb that I have to say it, but it's crucial, especially for the critical roles where it's just too cost prohibitive to have an actual full-time extra person there. Yes, it costs more. And you know what costs even more? When you fail so hard, you lose the client and lose your livelihood. Pillar number 3, the 2-touch check-in that will create a revolution. Forget the single morning briefing. That's amateur hour. Here's what actually works in my 15 years of experience and $500 million in events. A 10 a.m. pulse check, a quick, 10, 15-minute stand-up. By then, first in the morning, honey-do lists are completed, and you can see what's actually happening. Everything green? Good. Freight's 30 minutes late? Okay, noted. Questions? None. Back to work. The 2 p.m. deep dive, though, is where you really sync up. Review what's left for the day and flag what's off schedule and identify tomorrow morning's priorities. And between those briefings, though, you need clear communication channels and reinforcement of autonomous solution seeking by using that org chart that we just talked about. We're halfway through now. The next part is where the magic really happens. Pillar number 4 is the vendor mind meld. The crew is beyond your payroll. It includes every vendor, contractor, venue staffer, everyone. During your show, they're all a part of your team. So treat them that way. Get the F&B captain's cell number. Give the production manager a radio and include the decorator foreman in your briefings. Share your run of show with them and not the whole thing, just the parts that actually affect them. Let them do their jobs better. Why? Because these people see around corners. The venue freight manager might mention, hey, just so you know, the dock elevator usually breaks down around 3 p.m. on hot days. Perfect. But you only get that intel if you treat vendors as partners, not suppliers. Take away the commodity aspect. Pillar number 5 is the energy management secret. Here's the worst kept secret that for some reason nobody teaches in a clear way beyond the buzzwords that you keep seeing. A happy crew performs better. It's literally that simple. I want to know, how do you keep your crew happy during brutal event days? The way I do it is with scheduled breaks that actually happen. Don't just say, take a break when you can, okay? What you need to do is assign break times and make sure that they can actually happen. John, you're off from 12:30 to 1. Sarah covers for you. No ifs, ands, or buts. Then also, it's nice if you feed and water your people. Seriously. Hangry crew members make bad decisions and dehydrated ones make even worse ones. And if they're in a new market like Vegas where they're not used to it, that can be bad. Keep water stations everywhere. Provide real meals and snacks that don't put them into a sugar coma. I love you, but I'm talking to you, box of donuts. Another thing is just give a 5-minute reset. Every few hours, give key people 5 minutes to step outside, go grab a coffee, catch some sunlight, check their phone, disconnect. And if you're doing this, you're remembering that they're just human. And it is preventative maintenance for a marathon ahead, not exclusively lost productivity in that moment that they're stepping away. And above everything else, lead with composure. When you're calm under pressure, your crew mirrors that. And when you panic, they will too. You remember the keynote cue from earlier? I kept my cool and made it out the other side. The entire crowd felt it and didn't push back harder than they actually were. And in fact, we were laughing with each other. Well, a few of us were, even though I was sweating bullets on the inside. Pillar number 6, the 10-minute miracle meeting. At the end of each day, gather your leads for 10 minutes. No, not the whole crew, just your right and your left hand. 3 questions that I want you to ask. What went well? And celebrate it with them. What broke? Fix it tonight for them. And who needs help tomorrow? Make sure that you spend the time to assign it right now. Keep it short, keep it constructive. And here's the key. Actually say thank you. People will walk through walls for you if they feel genuinely appreciated. It costs you nothing. And it adds fuel to their tanks and changes everything. Managing massive crews in my 20s, I learned this lesson the very hard way. You don't get to where you are by staying in the past, though. And I've seen what can happen when you improve your mindset. Let's talk about tools, but keep it simple. For scheduling, backups, or even a shared Google Calendar, and something everyone can access on their phones. That's what's key. For communication, Slack or Microsoft Teams for non-urgent items, and radios, texts, or phone calls, or WhatsApp for urgent. For documentation, one shared folder with everything, your run of show, your contact list, emergency procedures, and make it accessible offline, whatever you do there, though. Because without fail, Wi-Fi always fails when you need it most. The game changer that I've found is that some scheduling tools now use AI to suggest replacements when someone calls out. They know who has the skills and who's available, who's worked that position before, what will actually function. And it's like having a backup brain when yours is fried. But remember, technology amplifies what you already have. And if your process is chaos, technology gives you chaos faster. Get the system right first, and then add the tech. I'm ever the advocate for building in Google Docs or Miro, and then moving to specific tech once you get yourself together. As someone who's played part in many a tech integration, trust me, you'll thank me later. We've got a free run of show with something like 280 plus line items pre-baked chronologically for you to add details to. It's on the Alpha Tooth website under the digital products. And we'll also add a link in the description here too. Go start there and reach out for a 15-minute chat if you feel like a deer in the headlights. There's a lot that's on there, but the whole goal is to try to help you as much as possible. So if we can do that in 15 minutes, let's do it. Before we go, here right now is your instant action plan. I want you to ask a few questions. I want you to screenshot this checklist and actually put something into motion. Do you have every role defined and assigned? Is there a clear chain of command? Do you have backup for critical positions? Are communication channels established and tested? Have you scheduled breaks and meals? Do vendors know their part in the plan? Is everything documented and shared? If you answered no to any of these, fix it right now. Not on show day. Right now. Here's what the data shows. McKinsey found that organizations with optimized workforce deployment are 25% more productive and have 20% lower operating costs. What would you do with 25% more time? And what would you do with 20% more budget? Here's what I want you to remember. Your crew are the artists who paint your event into existence. Treat them that way. Invest in their success and train them properly and give them the tools and clarity that they need. Because when your crew is confident, rested, and clear on their mission, they solve problems before you know that they even exist. They make your speakers look brilliant and they turn potential disasters into minor adjustments. They make you look like a genius. And isn't that what we're all after? Your move. Sign up for the free monthly member list. We'll probably be at 500 industry leaders by the time that this gets released. Share this with your vendor partner right now. Be clear with your crew and they'll be kind to your event. Now, stop watching and go build that org chart. Your next event depends on it. And I promise you can change the world, if not just in your little corner of it. All right. Bye now.